Community Systems Development at Illinois Action for Children. On behalf of Illinois Action for Children and the Consortium for Community Systems Development, we would like to welcome you to today's exciting webinar, discussing how collaborations can engage the K-12 system. We'll also be sure to include some examples, some challenges, and some successes of these efforts. Today's agenda includes some time to introduce yourselves and to share where you're calling from. Again, some benefits, challenges, and strategies. We'll also have some time for some question and answers and share a new exciting resource that a lot of this information was gathered from. To get us started, here are some housekeeping tips. The session is being recorded and will be available later on our website for viewing. All of the participants have currently been muted until the question and answer session. If you encounter technical issues, please use the chat box to send us a message about your technical issue. Or you can also feel free to email Carla at the email address included on the screen. To get us started and present for today's conversation, I see about 7 or so folks on the line. If you could just please take a moment to introduce yourself. Please state your name, the community you're coming from, and what your role is in the community. You have all been unmuted at this time.
Hi, my name is Jackie Farber.
Hello, this is Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. My name is Jackie Farber, and I'm with Child Care Resource Service, and I am a resource specialist. Thanks.
My name is Jacqueline Vasquez, and I'm with Erickson Institute, and I'm the Associate Director of the Early Development Instrument.
Hi, this is Mary Haley, and I'm the Project Director for the Addison Early Childhood Collaborative.
There's a few more folks I see on the dashboard. Also, we unmuted you on our end. Just also make sure to unmute or to check your sound. If you are unable to hear your voice, feel free to enter your information in the chat box and we'll share that out. So Lisa has asked us, she sent us a quick note and it said that she does not have a mic on her computer but wanted to let us know that she is on the call and she is a policy analyst from the Center for the Study of Education at ISU. Thank you, Lisa. Kayla Boss has also sent us a quick hello. She is the AOK coordinator in East St. Louis, St. Clair County. Welcome. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and mute you, and then we'll continue with the presentation. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to take a short poll. We would like you to answer the following question. We would like to know, how do you typically, oops, engage, not family, sorry about that, schools in your system, in your collaboration efforts. And so one would be isolation. You haven't really established a communication with the school district. Number two, you do talk to each other and you share some information. Number three, you work close together on a case-by-case basis, or you coordinate some services and supports. Number four, you work together by a project basis, including sort of some joint analysis or joint planning. And number five is alignment. You have intensive collaboration, significant sharing of resources, high level of trust, and you are interdependent and aligned. So if you could please take a moment to identify where do you think you might be at on that spectrum, we'd appreciate it. Okay, about half of you had voted, so we'll wait for the rest of you to finish voting, and then we'll show the results. One more minute so folks can enter in their selection. Thanks for your participation in our poll. So it says that, let's see, about half of us are at collaboration level. Under that would be the coordination, and next up is an alignment. Great. So it's very helpful to understand kind of where we are all at and experiences that we are engaging in. And so we will go ahead and move on to the next slide. Thanks again for participating. So at this time, we'd like to talk about the benefits of engaging the K-12 system. Early childhood collaborations in Illinois vary in their level of engagement, as you saw by the previous poll, our small sample of it. Some collaborations have had success in engaging school leadership to develop a shared vision and implement new strategies to improve the outcomes for their children and families. Members of these collaborations have identified benefits such as mutual gain, better coordination of services for families, and building trust between partners. And so as we talk about the mutual gains, we've learned that by working together, the collaborations are more effective in understanding the root causes of community issues and developing some common goals. They've shared resources such as information about community services or have donated space for events. They have been more willing to share data such as enrollment numbers and have coordinated professional development opportunities. When we talk about the better coordination of services for families, we've learned that between school districts and early childhood leaders, folks have tried to coordinate their outreach and enrollment strategies. They are also able to coordinate developmental screenings for children and have also led efforts to develop a shared intake process that allows for a single entry point for services. And all of this is built on the last point of building trust between partners. Sometimes community leaders have shared that they have had preconceived notions about the other programs in their community. But as trust builds, collaborations have provided the space for these misperceptions to be changed. Leaders have a space to hear each other's perspectives and to gain appreciation for each other's roles and services. Now that we understand some of the benefits to engagement of the K-12 system, let's talk about some of the challenges that communities have shared. When discussing these challenges, leaders have reported that the #1 barrier is buy-in. They want to know what's in it for them, followed up closely by a sense of competition to secure slots and to fill those slots. Another barrier is sometimes the lack of trust. It really does take a long time to build relationships that result in building of this trust. Time often goes hand in hand with this. Next up are that there are times that there are competing priorities. Sometimes they have testing going on, they have other issues that are happening at their school, and so they do share that there are competing priorities that get in the way of engaging their collaborations work. Lastly, collaborations have, and school districts have reported that another barrier is support. Without buy-in and trust, it is sometimes challenging to get operational support, whether that's time, space, staff, in order to attend these collaboration meetings or support collaboration efforts. Various strategies have been explored by community leaders. Here are some opportunities that early childhood leaders have reported. They have identified common interests, values, and goals. They have worked on determining the role that they envision school districts playing. They've also identified the right people to be at their table, and they have also leveraged champions from their collaborations to engage school district leaders. When we talk about identifying common interests, values, and goals, school leaders, like I said before, may say that they want to know what's in it for them. The more that you can learn about their own priorities, the easier it will be to demonstrate areas of intersection. Tap into their strategic visions or plans that may exist in the school districts. Examples of possible common interests might lie in family engagement strategies, in community awareness and outreach, or coordinating enrollment efforts with the focus on reaching children that are not connected to early learning programs. Another example is defining what kindergarten readiness is and increasing access to high quality and early childhood programs. One community shared that as they had identified, one of the targeted issues was to make sure that their children were ready for kindergarten. They decided to actually ask the kindergarten teachers what they thought about when it meant that children were ready for kindergarten. And so that was a simple yet very effective way of getting the teachers and the schools involved in defining and supporting the collaboration's efforts. Next up is when you determine the role that you want the school districts to play. Make sure that you do your homework ahead of time and be prepared to answer school leaders' questions about the collaboration's purpose and goal and what you think they might be able to bring to the table. Also remember to please be flexible. You want to make sure to demonstrate that you are open to new ideas and building a meaningful partnership. Next is to make sure to identify the right people to be at the table. Engaging the school district leadership is ideal to ensure the buy-in at other levels or even with other community partners. But sometimes deep participation by those school district leaders may not be necessary for successful collaboration. Leaders can weigh in at key moments, and making sure that you have that direct and regular communication with them will make sure that they weigh in at those key moments. Be sure to connect with school districts at multiple levels, such as teachers, middle management, social workers, or other parent engagement or their parent engagement coordinators. Last up is to make sure to leverage the champions within your collaboration to engage the school district leaders. Sometimes when you do a scan of your collaboration members, you are able to identify that your members may already have a positive relationship with the school district leaders. Making sure that these members of your collaboration are also champions of your collaboration's work is key. Another strategy that early childhood leaders have reported is being sure to craft your message so that it includes the school district values. Make sure that you're able to tap into their shared values. Make sure to tell them that you're able to offer a broad perspective and other resources. And also be sure to share your accomplishments. When we talk about tapping into shared values, many collaborations in school districts care about the children and the families that they serve, and they also care about the children and families that they are not serving. Working together can inspire both groups to share data that show the inequities and or to conduct a community needs assessment to understand the gaps in services. This strategy can result in identifying the root causes and designing impactful strategies to better support families and children. Next, we talk about being sure to offer that you bring broad perspectives and resources to the relationship. Early collaboration leaders, be sure to share your knowledge about community systems efforts, the relationship that you bring to the partnership, such as being able to offer cross-sector relationships and bringing different perspectives. All of this helps to gain a deeper understanding of your community's issues and the ability to leverage additional resources, such as money, space, people, programs. Last up, be sure to be your own cheerleader and share your accomplishments as you're trying to engage and build these relationships with the school districts. We know that collaborations are at different stages, but we also know that many collaborations have demonstrated small wins which lead up to really big accomplishments. Be sure to share your accomplishments. This way, you're being sure to sell the value of being within the collaboration. Early childhood and school district leaders have shared that they have worked hard to maintain trust, to sustain the engagement, and to stay connected to the collaboration efforts. School districts have reported that although they may have initially joined the collaborations to meet the changing needs of their community, they continue to come back because of the new knowledge and new strategies and access to resources that the collaboration brings. Following are some strategies that leaders have used, or if you are new to this, should think about using. Now that you have engaged them, probably through a formal meeting, be sure to vary your approaches to engagement. Feel free to change it up and include them for a breakfast or a lunch meeting. Also, be sure to offer to present at any of their upcoming school district meetings. Be sure to support their partners' work, support them at their events or other community events. Being visible in the community shows that you care about everyone's efforts and not just your own. This is a big win in the school district's eyes. Being sure to regularly communicate on a regular, being sure to keep your communication channels open on a regular basis helps leaders to know and learn more about your collaboration's efforts. Be sure when you, after you have your meetings, that within a week or 2 weeks' time you share minutes and you keep them informed of any new developments. Also be sure to reach out to them by phone, in person. Use as many channels as you have available to be sure that you're connecting with those leaders. Lastly, the next step is to be sure that you include the school district in any goal setting or strategy design processes. Early involvement in identifying community needs and common challenges help to develop a shared understanding of the causes of the community's issues. And also it helps to build buy-in and support for the school districts. Next up is making sure that the collaboration has a purpose and action plan and that you are constantly working on your action items. Collaborations, it's said that it's helpful to make sure that you are clear and that your goals are being worked on and that your partners have understanding of what their role is and how they are contributing to your work. Make sure that your school representatives are active in that work. If members are engaged and have a voice in the work, they are more likely to remain at the table. Some examples of how early childhood leaders and school district leaders work together may be by developing a coordinated referral system, by collectively defining kindergarten readiness, by developing family engagement strategies, and implementing data sharing agreements to analyze trends and to track progress. Last up is to, again, make sure that you show success and that you are helping to meet outcomes. Collaborations have shared that it is important to develop the measures of success. This way the school knows that you have a purpose and you are actually making an impact. Be sure to document your wins and be sure to also track your progress. Examples of both short-term and long-term measures are necessary. Short-term measures may be tracking the number of children being served, tracking the engagement of new service providers, or in the long term is increasing in health support services for families. At this time, we would like to invite you to share your thoughts on the content you just heard. To get things started, I would like to ask anyone who would like to say anything to feel free to go ahead and share your thoughts on some of these questions. Has anyone experienced any of these challenges before as you've tried to engage the school districts? Were you able to overcome any of these challenges? What worked for you? On the flip side, is anyone on the phone who has experienced any of the successes? Please share what has worked for you and how did that relationship with the school district inform your efforts? Are there additional ideas? So I know I threw a lot of questions out there, but please take a few moments to think about some answers and feel free to go ahead and share your thoughts. And again, if you have no mic, feel free to enter your comments or questions in the chat box. Once again, just to let you know, all folks have been unmuted. Feel free to go ahead and share any questions about the content that you heard, about the strategies of any challenges, Or also feel free to share comments of how you have led efforts to try to engage the school district.
Hi, Edna. This is Marian Pokorny with the YWCA Metropolitan Chicago. And of course, you know, we're a child care resource and referral and work with 9 collaborations currently within DuPage and Kane counties. And we've really found this important as far as really legitimizing child care as part of the educational system. So we've really been successful with having conversations with superintendents and some school boards within DuPage and Kane County on the importance of learning from birth, and that child care is an important piece of the educational system, and really what are those districts looking for as far as educational supports. How do they bring child care providers in the fold? What are kindergarten expectations, and what child care can be doing to work towards those?
That's great, Marianne. Thank you so much for sharing. And, you know, if you could share, you know, what were the, I guess, initial steps that you took to approach the school districts? Was there already a meeting that they were meeting at that you leveraged, or were there relationships that maybe some folks that you work with already had and were able to broker that? And maybe, you know, talk about some opportunities for, you know, how long did it take for it to happen? You know, because sometimes folks may get worried that they tried once or they tried twice and then, you know, it's not going to happen. But there are times where we know that they're busy and you know, they may have missed an email or a call or something, but that it's just part of the process, right? So if there's any of that you could share, that would be helpful.
Sure. We were very fortunate in Addison because we worked with Action for Children, and we had a ECAP grant, and so they were instrumental in getting Addison School District to the table. Prior years before my even coming to the YWCA, there wasn't that partnership, and a lot of times they're kind of like, you know, it was almost as if, well, it was daycare, not childcare, and kind of, well, we'll educate them when they come through our doors, not seeing the real partnership. And so that was really instrumental, I think, in the conversation. And now moving forward, it's kind of a trendy thing to do. A lot of the superintendents are getting on board just because they have meetings and are talking to each other. And it's being supported through the Regional Office of Education, too, to really look at these systems and who's feeding into the system, including the home visiting as well as the child care, what everyone needs to know. And I think in different communities, it just varies at different levels, you know, where we're at in the partnership. But I would encourage people to just keep the dialogue open and, you know, really speaking to, these are the future students. So what can we do to really get the best services and get them into the best placement moving forward so that they are ready for kindergarten?
Thanks, Marianne. I think I heard Mary on the phone. Mary, I would just like to see if maybe you would be open to sharing, you know, the relationship that you have with the school district and maybe some ways that they have continued to support the work. I know that we always share that Chuck is somewhat of a unicorn. You know, first being male, then being really invested in early childhood. But you know, that it's just a very interesting relationship, I think, that the school district has with the efforts.
Sure, and I'm happy to jump in, but actually what Marianne described is probably more relevant because the strong partnership was in place for years before I got into this role. I think the thing that I would add from my perspective in the months that I've been here is in follow-up to a point that you made, Edna, just a couple of minutes ago. I think it can take a long time to get a partnership like this established. And in reference to your point about Chuck and his role, Chuck Wortman is an assistant superintendent for administrative services, and he oversees the preschool and also myriad other services. But he personally is committed to this and is passionate about it, so he's the classic champion. And I think that finding that person in a decision-making role is really critical. And it can probably take, and again, Marianne can speak to this a little bit better perhaps, but just generally speaking, it can sometimes take 6 months to 12 months to 18 months to get a relationship like this established and get the trust in place that's necessary. So I don't want to be, I don't want to be telling people something that's obvious that they all know from their professional experience already, but just wanted to reinforce, Edna, your point before, that relationships like this can take quite a bit of time to get developed, and you just can't let yourself get disheartened about that. But I think one of the things that's really cool about Addison and might be unique is that the school district was really one of the drivers of the collaborative forming, and it's absolutely been one of the leaders in keeping it strong and helping us grow over the years. So I don't know, Edna, if that really gets to like some of your key points, but just speaking from my own experience, that's what I have seen in the time I've been in the role. Does that help?
That's great. Yeah, totally. That very much helps. And like you said, I mean, you've been on for a few months, and it definitely does take a lot of time, and you know that there was some time invested prior to you coming, and so yeah, I mean, I think it's very key. I think if anything, that's the key thing to take away from this conversation is the fact that it does take time, and not to be disheartened. It will happen. And I'm hoping that some of these tips that we're sharing, are some nuggets of wisdom that folks can take and try to use as they continue to build these relationships.
And Edna, I'll just jump in with one other thought, and it's really building on what Marianne said. Since there are several collaboratives in the area that have been in place for a while and have a nice momentum going, if there is someone who's trying to get into a local school district and they want to talk about, like, here's what's going on in Addison or here's what's going on in Bensenville, and try to set up the idea of another superintendent or assistant superintendent in a different district looking into what's going in Addison or Bensenville or any of the other places that collaborations are strong, including Wheaton, that might be a good strategy to try as well. Does that make sense the way I'm describing it?
Sure does, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other folks have some thoughts or questions to share at this time? Are there some possibly some additional ideas that may have not been captured on the webinar that folks have tried in their communities? It'd be a great opportunity to bubble those up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to finish up our presentation. So a lot of this information was captured over this past year. We had taken some time to go to different parts of the state to have some focus groups and collect information about what's worked for folks, what hasn't worked for folks, And so we are in the final stages of publishing the toolkit. And so we want to encourage you to please, when we launch it, be sure to access the toolkit on our Partner Plan Act website. You'll be able to view it online. You'll also be able to download the different sections and use as needed. We'd like to share some of our upcoming events and make sure that if you have some time in your very busy schedule that you're able to attend these events. First up is our Partner Plan Act Conference, which will take place on Tuesday, June 13 in Bloomington, Illinois. We've got a fun-filled day of coming together with your peers to build some capacity on different topics that you guys have shared with us. We'll also be sure to have some time to network with each other and just some time as well to celebrate as we have been leading these efforts intensively over the past 4 years. So we want to make sure that if you have time in your schedule to please attend the conference. Registration information has been sent and we will be sure to send it again. But you can also access the registration link on the Partner Plan Act website under events and trainings. Next up, we'd like to also invite you to our statewide policy caucus as our legislative session comes to a close soon. That will be taking place on June 22nd as well in Normal, Illinois. So thank you so much for being part of today's conversation. As we prepare to end today's webinar, if we can invite you to participate in a quick poll on a scale, of 1 to 5, if you could share how valuable your participation was in today's webinar. 1 being not valuable, 2 being slightly valuable, 3 moderately valuable, 4 valuable, and 5 very valuable. So please enter your answer, and when we are finished, we'll be able to publish those and end our webinar. We have a couple more left to vote, please. Okay, so there are the results to the poll. Thank you so much for participating, and be sure, as Mary suggested, that if folks are interested in learning more, that there is an opportunity to connect and gain some insight on that. And also, please remember, you'll receive an email once the toolkit is live on the website. And so that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for participating, and just want to make a note that this webinar was possible through the generous support of the Grand Victoria Foundation. This concludes today's webinar. Have a great day.